Have you ever wondered why some people seem to skyrocket to success while others work just as hard but stay stuck in the same place year after year? The difference isn't talent. It isn't luck. It isn't who they know. The difference is simple: they never stop learning. They treat education like breathing. Daily. Consistent. Essential. Right now, in this very moment, you're making a choice. You're either moving forward or falling behind. There's no middle ground. The world doesn't reward people who coast on what they learned 5 years ago. It rewards those who are constantly upgrading, constantly evolving, constantly hungry for more knowledge. Before we dive deep, let me ask you something. When was the last time you deliberately learned something new? Not just scrolled through social media. Not just consumed random content. But actually sat down and thought, today I'm going to expand my mind. Drop a comment and tell me, because what I'm about to share with you will completely transform how you approach learning and ultimately, how you approach success itself. Look around at the most successful people in any field. Entrepreneurs who build empires. Athletes who dominate their sport. Artists who create masterpieces. Leaders who inspire millions. What do they all have in common? An obsession with growth. They're constantly feeding their minds, constantly upgrading their skills, constantly pushing beyond what they already know. Meanwhile, the average person graduates, gets a job, and stops actively learning. They think they've made it. But here's the brutal truth: they've just started falling behind. The world keeps moving. New technologies emerge. New industries rise. New opportunities appear. And while all this is happening, they're standing still, wondering why life feels harder every year. The world doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care if you don't have time. It doesn't care if you feel overwhelmed. It will simply replace you with someone who is willing to put in the effort. Someone who made learning a daily habit. Someone who refused to be left behind. Think about how much has changed in just the past decade. 10 years ago, social media was barely a fraction of what it is today. Artificial intelligence was something only tech companies worried about. The job market looked completely different. Now, AI is revolutionizing entire industries. New careers are popping up that didn't even exist 5 years ago. And people who refuse to adapt, who didn't take time to learn about digital marketing, AI, automation, or new technologies, they're struggling to stay relevant. But the ones who stayed ahead, the ones who educated themselves every single day, they're thriving. They saw the changes coming and prepared for them. They didn't wait for permission or perfect conditions. They just started learning and never stopped. The biggest mistake you can make is believing that education ends when school ends. That mindset is exactly why so many people feel trapped. They followed the system, went to school, got a job, worked for years, and now they're confused about why they feel unfulfilled. It's because they stopped growing. The moment you stop feeding your mind, you start declining. There's no standing still in life. You're either improving or you're falling behind, and here's the scary part. Most people don't even realize they're falling behind. They wake up, go to work, come home, and mindlessly scroll through social media or binge-watch shows for hours. They don't read books that challenge them. They don't invest time in developing new skills. They consume entertainment but never education. Then they wonder why they're in the same place year after year, decade after decade. It's because the world punishes stagnation. Quietly. Efficiently. It replaces those who refuse to grow without even announcing it. You won't get a warning. You'll just wake up one day and realize the world has moved on without you. But here's the good news. You can change that right now. Today. This moment. You have two choices. You can continue doing what 99% of people do, wasting time on distractions, refusing to learn, staying comfortable in mediocrity. Or you can make the decision to educate yourself every single day. The choice is simple, but the results are life-changing. Imagine where you could be in just 1 year if you committed to learning something new every day. Just 30 minutes. That's all it takes. 30 minutes of focused, intentional learning. Imagine how much more valuable you would become. How many more opportunities would open up? How much more confident you would feel navigating challenges? That's what separates the top 1% from everyone else. It's not some secret formula. It's not genetics. It's the simple commitment to never stop growing. And let's be honest, there's absolutely no excuse in today's world. Learning has never been easier. You don't need to sit in expensive classrooms. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on degrees. Everything you need is literally at your fingertips right now. You can read books from the greatest minds in history. You can listen to podcasts from people who've accomplished exactly what you want to accomplish. You can take online courses that teach you high-value skills. You can watch educational content that breaks down complex topics into digestible pieces. The resources are endless. But most people don't take advantage of them. Instead, they waste hours every day on things that add absolutely nothing to their future. The difference between where you are now and where you want to be isn't about talent or luck. It's about how much effort you're willing to put into learning and growing every single day. Every book you read, every skill you develop, every piece of knowledge you absorb, it all compounds over time. And the longer you stay committed to growth, the further ahead you'll be. Now let's talk about something critical, your baseline. This is a concept that changes everything once you understand it. A baseline is how someone behaves when they're relaxed and normal. And the same applies to you. Your current baseline, your habits, your knowledge, your skills, that's what determines your results right now. If you want different results, you need to change your baseline. And the only way to do that is through consistent learning. When you learn something new, when you develop a new skill, when you expand your understanding of the world, you're literally rewiring your brain. You're creating new neural pathways. You're becoming a different person. A better version of yourself, but here's what most people get wrong. They think learning is about memorizing information. It's not. Real learning is about transformation. It's about taking what you discover and using it to change how you think, how you act, how you approach challenges. If you read a book but nothing in your life changes, you didn't really learn anything. You just consumed words. The people who get real results from learning understand this. They don't just collect information like trophies on a shelf. They extract value, apply it immediately, and watch their lives transform. They read one book but implement every major lesson. And that makes them infinitely more successful than someone who reads 100 books but applies nothing. So here's your first action step. Stop reading just to finish books. Start reading to extract wisdom. When you come across something powerful, stop. Think about it. Ask yourself how you can use this in your life right now. Write it down. Make a plan to implement it. Then actually do it. This is what I call active learning versus passive consumption. Most people are passive consumers. They let information wash over them and hope some of it sticks. But active learners engage with the material. They question it. They connect it to their own experiences. They look for ways to apply it immediately. Let me give you a practical example. Let's say you're reading a book about time management and you learn about the concept of time blocking. A passive learner reads that section, thinks that's interesting, and moves on. An active learner stops right there, looks at their schedule for tomorrow, and actually creates time blocks for their most important tasks. They test it. They adjust it. They make it part of their routine. See the difference? One person just consumed information. The other transformed their behavior. And over time, those small differences compound into massive results. Now let's talk about something that's revolutionizing how we learn: audio content. Podcasts and audiobooks have completely changed the game. Think about all the time you spend every day doing things that don't require your full mental attention. Driving. Working out. Cooking. Cleaning. Walking. Waiting. Most people fill these moments with music or mindless entertainment. Nothing wrong with that occasionally. But imagine if you used even half of those moments to feed your mind with valuable knowledge. You could literally absorb hundreds of hours of education every year without changing your schedule at all. This is what I call the mobile university concept. Your phone becomes a portal to unlimited wisdom. You can learn from billionaires while you're stuck in traffic. You can study the psychology of success while you're at the gym. You can master new skills while you're doing household chores. The most successful people figured this out years ago. They're ruthlessly protective of their time, and they use every available moment to upgrade themselves. While others are listening to the same songs on repeat, they're absorbing insights that will make them more valuable, more capable, more successful. Here's what I want you to do today. Pick one area of your life you want to improve. Just one. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your relationships or your career. Now find 3 high-quality podcasts or audiobooks on that topic. Commit to listening to them over the next 2 weeks during your existing routine. Don't add new time to your schedule. Just replace empty content with valuable content. Replace the music with a podcast. Replace the scrolling with an audiobook. Make your commute, your workout, your morning routine into learning sessions. Watch what happens to your thinking, your confidence, your results. But here's the critical part, and this is where most people fail. You can't just listen passively. You need to take notes. Even if it's just voice notes on your phone while you're driving. Capture the key insights. The ideas that resonate. The strategies you want to try. Because if you don't capture it, you'll forget 90% of what you heard within 24 hours. Then, and this is crucial, you need to review those notes regularly. At the end of each day, spend 5 minutes reviewing what you learned. At the end of each week, spend 15 minutes going over all your notes from that week. This repetition is what moves information from short-term memory into long-term knowledge you can actually use. Let's shift gears and talk about something that terrifies most people but excites the successful: change. The world is evolving faster than ever before. Technology is advancing at an exponential rate. Industries that seemed stable for decades are being disrupted overnight. Job roles that were essential 5 years ago are becoming automated. This scares a lot of people. But it should excite you. Because massive change creates massive opportunity. The people who adapt fastest, who learn the new skills, who understand the emerging technologies, they're the ones who win big. While everyone else is complaining about how things used to be, they're positioning themselves for the future. And here's what you need to understand about the future. It's being built right now by people who understand digital literacy and artificial intelligence. If you don't have at least a basic understanding of how AI works and how it's changing your industry, you're already behind. I'm not saying you need to become a programmer or a data scientist. But you do need to understand the basics. You need to know how AI can enhance your work rather than replace it. You need to recognize opportunities to use these tools to become more productive, more creative, more valuable. Think about it this way. AI is like electricity when it was first introduced. The people who learned to harness electricity transformed the world. The ones who refused to adapt got left behind. AI is the same. It's not going away. It's not slowing down. It's accelerating. And your success in the next decade will largely depend on how well you can work alongside these technologies. So here's your mission. Spend the next 30 days learning about AI and how it applies to your field. Take a free online course. Watch educational videos. Experiment with AI tools. Read articles from credible sources. Just immerse yourself in understanding this technology. Because the people who understand it will have opportunities the rest of the world doesn't even see. Now let me share something that might be uncomfortable to hear, but it's absolutely critical. Most of what you consume every day is garbage. I don't mean that to be harsh. I mean it literally. The average person fills their mind with low-quality content that adds zero value to their life. Gossip. Drama. Clickbait headlines. Outrage bait on social media. Mindless entertainment. And here's what happens. Your mind is like a garden. What you plant in it determines what grows. If you're constantly planting weeds, negative news, toxic content, useless information, that's what will flourish in your thinking. But if you deliberately plant seeds of valuable knowledge, that's what will grow and produce fruit in your life. The most successful people are extremely intentional about what they allow into their minds. They're not reading celebrity gossip. They're not doom scrolling through negative news. They're not watching content that makes them angry or anxious without providing solutions. Instead, they're consuming high-quality information that makes them better. This requires discipline. Real discipline. Because the low-quality content is designed to be addictive. It triggers your emotions. It grabs your attention. It keeps you scrolling. But it leaves you empty. You can spend 2 hours on social media and feel like you wasted your life, because you basically did. Compare that to spending 30 minutes reading a transformative book or listening to an educational podcast. You feel energized. Inspired. Like you actually grew as a person. That's the difference between junk food for your mind and nutrition for your mind. So here's what I challenge you to do. For the next 7 days, track every minute you spend consuming content. Be honest with yourself. How much time are you spending on social media? How much on news websites? How much watching TV or scrolling through videos? Then ask yourself, what percentage of that time is actually making me better? For most people, the answer is less than 10%. Maybe even less than 5%. That's a problem. Because you can't rise to the top 1% if you're consuming content like the bottom 99%. If you want exceptional results, you need to have exceptional inputs. This means making hard choices. It means unfollowing accounts that don't add value. It means unsubscribing from channels that waste your time. It means setting boundaries with your phone and your apps. It means choosing books over Netflix, podcasts over music, educational content over entertainment. I'm not saying you can never relax or enjoy entertainment. Balance is important. But the ratio needs to shift dramatically. If you're currently spending 90% of your free time on entertainment and 10% on learning, flip that. Spend 90% on growth and 10% on relaxation. Watch what happens to your life in 6 months. Now let's talk about something that separates the amateurs from the professionals: retention. It's not enough to consume information. You need a system to retain it, organize it, and apply it. This is where most people fail spectacularly. They learn something valuable, feel motivated for a moment, then forget it completely within days. Think about the last amazing book you read or podcast you listened to. Can you recall the main lessons? Can you summarize the key points? If not, you essentially wasted that time. The information passed through your brain without leaving any lasting impact. This is why you need what I call a knowledge management system. It doesn't have to be complicated. At its simplest, it's a notebook where you capture key insights, important quotes, and actionable strategies from everything you learn. Digital or physical, doesn't matter. What matters is that you have one central place where valuable knowledge gets recorded. But here's the critical part that most people miss. You can't just write things down and never look at them again. You need to review your notes regularly. Weekly at minimum. This repetition is what moves information from your conscious awareness into your subconscious programming. It's what turns knowledge into wisdom. Here's a system that works incredibly well. At the end of each day, spend 5 minutes reviewing what you learned that day. Write down the most valuable insight and one specific way you'll apply it tomorrow. At the end of each week, spend 15 minutes reviewing all your daily notes. Identify patterns. Connect ideas. Make plans for implementation. At the end of each month, spend an hour going through all your weekly reviews. This is where the magic happens. You start seeing how different pieces of knowledge fit together. You identify the most important lessons. You track your growth. You hold yourself accountable for actually applying what you've learned. This system alone will put you ahead of 99% of people. Because while they're constantly consuming new information without retaining any of it, you're building a compounding knowledge base that grows more valuable every single day. Let me share something powerful about the way your brain works. Your brain is designed to forget things. That's not a flaw, it's a feature. If you remembered every single piece of information you ever encountered, your brain would be completely overwhelmed. So it filters ruthlessly, keeping only what seems important. How does your brain decide what's important? Repetition and emotion. If you encounter information once, your brain assumes it's not important and discards it. But if you encounter the same information multiple times, your brain thinks, this must matter. I keep seeing it. That's when it gets transferred to long-term memory. This is why reviewing your notes is so powerful. You're telling your brain, this information matters. Keep it. And over time, that knowledge becomes part of how you think. It influences your decisions automatically. It becomes integrated into who you are. The second factor is emotion. Information tied to strong emotions gets remembered much better. This is why you remember traumatic events or incredibly joyful moments in vivid detail. Your brain tags them as important because of the emotional weight. You can use this to your advantage in learning. When you discover something valuable, don't just passively read it. Get excited about it. Imagine how it could change your life. Feel the emotion of transformation. Write down not just the information, but how it makes you feel and why it matters to you personally. This emotional connection makes it stick. Now let's address something critical: bad information. We live in an age where anyone can publish anything. There's more information available than ever before, but a huge percentage of it is wrong, misleading, or designed to manipulate you. If you don't develop the ability to think critically, you'll constantly be led astray by bad advice and false information. Critical thinking isn't about being cynical or negative. It's about being thoughtful and deliberate in how you evaluate information. It's about asking good questions before accepting something as truth. Here are the questions you should ask about any piece of information you encounter. First, who is the source? What are their credentials? What's their track record? Do they have expertise in this area, or are they just sharing an opinion? Are they trying to sell you something? What's their motivation for sharing this information? Second, what evidence supports this claim? Is it based on research, data, and facts? Or is it just someone's opinion presented as truth? Are there studies backing this up? Can the claims be verified? Third, what are alternative perspectives? What do critics say? What's the counterargument? Have I sought out views that challenge this information? Am I only looking for things that confirm what I already believe? Fourth, does this pass the logic test? Does the reasoning make sense? Are there gaps in the logic? Are they making emotional appeals instead of logical arguments? Are they using fear or excitement to bypass your critical thinking? These questions are your defense against manipulation and misinformation. Use them constantly. Especially online, where clickbait headlines and emotionally charged content are designed to bypass your rational thinking and trigger impulsive reactions. Here's a hard truth. Most people don't think critically because it requires effort. It's easier to just accept what you hear, especially if it confirms what you already believe or makes you feel good. But that's exactly why most people stay stuck. They're operating based on false or incomplete information. The successful people? They question everything. They dig deeper. They verify sources. They look for evidence. They consider multiple perspectives before forming conclusions. This makes them better decision makers, which leads to better results. Let me give you a practical example. Let's say you see an article claiming that a certain diet will help you lose weight fast. Most people will either believe it immediately if it sounds good, or dismiss it if it doesn't fit their beliefs. A critical thinker asks different questions. Who wrote this article? Is it a qualified nutritionist or just someone with an opinion? What evidence do they provide? Is it based on scientific studies or just testimonials? What do experts in nutrition say about this approach? What are the potential risks or downsides they're not mentioning? Does this align with established principles of health and metabolism? By asking these questions, you avoid wasting time and potentially harming yourself with bad advice. You make informed decisions based on solid information rather than hype. This applies to every area of life: career advice, financial strategies, relationship guidance, business opportunities. Question everything before accepting it as truth. Now let's talk about something that will determine your success more than anything else: application. You can consume all the information in the world, but if you never apply it, you'll never see results. This is where most people completely fail. They become knowledge collectors instead of knowledge appliers. Think about how many self-help books people read without changing their lives. How many courses they take without implementing the lessons. How many podcasts they listen to without taking action. They confuse learning with doing. They think that knowing something is the same as applying it. It's not. Knowledge without application is useless. Completely useless. It's like having a gym membership but never working out. Or owning cooking equipment but never making meals. The tools and information don't create results. Action creates results. Here's a rule that will transform your learning. For every piece of valuable information you consume, you must apply at least one thing within 24 hours. Not next week. Not when you feel ready. Within 24 hours. This forces you to move from theory to practice immediately. Let's say you read about the power of morning routines. Don't just think about how nice it would be to have one. Tomorrow morning, implement one element. Maybe it's drinking water first thing. Maybe it's 5 minutes of movement. Maybe it's reviewing your goals. Just do something. Take one action based on what you learned. This creates a completely different relationship with learning. Instead of being a passive consumer, you become an active implementer. Instead of information floating through your mind and disappearing, it gets integrated into your behavior. This is how transformation happens. Not through knowing more, but through doing more with what you know. Here's another powerful strategy. After you learn something valuable, teach it to someone else. This is one of the best ways to deepen your understanding and ensure you actually grasp the concepts. When you have to explain something to another person, you're forced to organize your thoughts, simplify complex ideas, and really understand the material. You don't need a formal audience. Just share what you learned with a friend, family member, or colleague. Post about it on social media. Write about it in a journal as if you're teaching someone. The act of teaching forces you to process the information at a much deeper level than passive consumption ever could. This also creates accountability. When you tell others what you've learned and what you plan to do with it, you're more likely to follow through. You've made a public commitment. Your reputation is on the line. This social pressure can be incredibly motivating. Now let me share something that successful people understand but most people never learn. The compound effect of daily learning. When you commit to learning something new every single day, the results don't appear immediately. The first week, you might not notice much difference. The first month, maybe some small improvements. But over time, the compound effect kicks in. After 6 months of daily learning, you're noticeably different. You think differently. You see opportunities others miss. You have skills others don't. After a year, the gap between you and people who aren't learning becomes massive. After 5 years, you're operating on a completely different level. You've become someone unrecognizable from who you were when you started. This is the power of consistency. Small daily actions that seem insignificant in the moment create extraordinary results over time. But you have to trust the process. You have to keep going even when you don't see immediate results. Because the results are building beneath the surface, preparing to emerge. Think of it like planting a bamboo tree. For the first 4 years, you water it and care for it, but nothing appears above ground. It looks like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, a massive root system is developing. Then in the 5th year, the bamboo shoots up 90 feet in just 6 weeks. That's the compound effect in action. Your daily learning is building a root system of knowledge, skills, and capabilities. It might not look impressive at first. People might not notice. You might even question if it's worth it. But keep going. Because when your growth finally becomes visible, it will be explosive. And by then, it will be too late for others to catch up. Here's your action plan starting today. First, commit to 30 minutes of intentional learning every single day. Non-negotiable. This isn't optional if you want to stay ahead. Block out the time in your schedule. Treat it as seriously as any important appointment. Second, choose your learning sources carefully. Read books by credible authors with proven track records. Listen to podcasts featuring genuine experts, not just people with opinions. Take courses from people who've achieved what you want to achieve. Follow thought leaders who challenge your thinking and provide real value. Third, implement the knowledge management system we discussed. Get a notebook or digital tool where you capture key insights. Review your notes daily, weekly, and monthly. Turn information into action items. Fourth, apply something new every single day. Don't just consume. Implement. Test. Experiment. Learn by doing, not just by reading. Fifth, teach what you learn to others. This deepens your understanding and creates accountability. Sixth, be ruthlessly selective about what content you consume. Cut out the junk. Protect your mind like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Seventh, develop your critical thinking skills. Question everything. Verify sources. Look for evidence. Consider alternative perspectives before forming conclusions. If you do these 7 things consistently, you will separate yourself from 99% of people. Not because you're smarter or more talented, but because you're committed to growth in a way most people simply aren't. The world belongs to learners. The world rewards those who never stop growing, never stop improving, never stop evolving. The question is, will you be one of them? Will you make the decision today to prioritize your education? To invest in yourself? To commit to becoming better every single day? Because here's the truth. 5 years from now, you'll arrive. The question is where. You can arrive having spent those 5 years consuming entertainment and distractions, essentially the same person you are today. Or you can arrive having spent those 5 years deliberately learning, growing, and transforming into someone extraordinary. The choice is yours. But make no mistake, it is a choice. Every day you're choosing. Every hour you're deciding how to invest your time. Every moment is either moving you forward or holding you back. So what will it be? Will you commit to educating yourself every single day? Will you join the 1% who refuse to stay stagnant? Will you become the kind of person who uses their time wisely, learns aggressively, and applies knowledge ruthlessly? If your answer is yes, then start today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Right now. Pick up a book. Start a course. Listen to an educational podcast. Take one action based on something you've learned. Make today the day everything changes. Because the future belongs to those who prepare for it. And preparation starts with learning. Daily, consistent, intentional learning. That's your competitive advantage. That's your path to success. That's how you stay ahead of 99% of people. If this resonated with you, if you're ready to commit to daily growth, let me know in the comments. Tell me what skill you're going to start learning today. Share your commitment publicly. Hold yourself accountable. And if you want more content like this, strategies for growth, success principles, and real talk about what it takes to win in life, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. Until next time, remember this. The book you don't read won't help you. The course you don't take won't change you. The knowledge you don't apply won't transform you. So stop waiting. Stop planning. Stop getting ready to get ready. Start learning. Start growing. Start becoming the person you're capable of being. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make today. Don't let them down.